Okay guys, so on our last video I talked about introductions to new tags on HTML and introduction into CSS. In the previous class we talked about how to apply color to certain elements in the HTML file to appear on our website. So today's class we went in deeper into CSS and we learned what we call the CSS Box Model. The instructor explained some terms under that. He said we have margin, we have padding, we have border, and we have width. So margin is just basically the space outside an element. Padding is the opposite of that, meaning it's the space inside of an element, while the width is the horizontal size of an element, that is the breadth of an element. Then height, which is basically the height of an element. In a few minutes I'll show you exactly how that particular thing works. So first of all, let me open File Explorer. So inside File Explorer, let me expand this. Okay, I'm going to go into Documents, and inside of the document I'm going to create a new folder for this. So in the new folder, let's call it CSS YouTube. So I hit on enter key and this is it. The folder has been created. So now I'm going to come here and open VS Code. So now VSS is already open. The CSS inside of VS Code is already open. So this was today's assignment, but we'll get to that in a second. So let me come here to File and open folder. So it will give me all this. I've explained this in my previous videos, and see the folder I just created. So I'll click on it, select it, and click on select folder. So it opens a brand new project like this. Now the files have not been created, so I'll come here, click on this new file, and then I'm going to call this CSS YouTube. Sorry, I need to backspace that. It's capital. That's one thing he emphasized on. He said be sure to type it in small letters. I think it will make it less complicated. So I'll come here, click in the middle, I put hyphen, then right here and I press .html and then hit on enter. Then I will create another folder inside of this one and call it CSS. The reason why we're doing that is so that we can separate both of them. We know which is HTML, that's directly under the folder, and which one is CSS, so as to make our structure well organized. So I right click here, click on new file, and then CSS.css and then hit on enter. So now I have created the two files inside their respective folders. So I'm going to cancel this and also this. We don't need those. So in the HTML, I'll just press on shift exclamation and hit on enter so that the HTML boilerplate loads up. So now that it's fully loaded, I'm going to click here inside the head element, press on enter, tap link so I can link it to the CSS, and then CSS. I'm going to click and then hit enter. Okay, now I have successfully linked it to the CSS. Notice I first of all type CSS, which it first of all gave me the folder and then the name of the file inside the folder, which is this right here. Anyways, so now I'm going to come inside of this body element, hit on enter, and I'm going to, let me type h1, and I'm going to hit on enter, and I'm going to type yes, enter. It's already giving me, so just let it my YouTube channel, and then I'm going to come here and then type another h1, press enter, and what will I call this? okay, let me call it this: silent developer. So yes, that's exactly what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to just open this HTML file with Light Server, the extension I installed inside VS Code. Okay, now see my YouTube channel and silent developer. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I meant by those margin, the padding, the border, the width, and the height. So how do I go about that? I'm going to go back inside VS Code. Now you see these tags. I'm going to move to the CSS file. I'm going to press here. Now there's no boilerplate for CSS, so CSS is just like that. So you write the code from beginning. There's no boilerplate. So I'm going to select, let's say, just H1 space. I'm going to now shift curly braces, press here, and hit on enter. And yes, let me change the color to blue. And that is just the color, so I can be very obvious. And yeah, I think I want to change the fonts too. He hasn't taught us this yet, but there are some extensions I installed that is helping me do that. So now under here, I'm going to type what we call let's first of all start with margin. I'll click on the margin, and let's say I'm going to set it, because he mentioned the measurement. He said is either it is px, that is pixels, em, rem, or he mentioned something else, but I can't remember. Anyways, let me use percentage. So let me make the margin, no, let me use pixels, 20 pixels. Hit on enter. So now if I go here and I click, it doesn't really do much. Let me see if I can change the size of the pixel so it becomes more obvious. Let me make it 200. Okay, so now that it's 200, I'm going to tap here so that I think okay, now you see it created spaces individually inside H1, the first H1 and the second H1. Now there is something else he taught us how we can make, like, let's say we want to target only one of this. We don't want anything at all to conflict each other. We don't want them to be the same. We want one to be different from the other. So that is simple. We do that by going back to the HTML file and assigning the H1s with their own class. But since I just want to change one of them, make it different, I'm going to just come here into one and type class. There's the class attribute, and let's see, I'm going to call this, let's call it YouTube. I'm going to hit on yes, it's already saved. Okay, so I'll go back to the CSS, and in the CSS I'm going to come down to the next line and type .YouTube. Why am I typing that? Why do I put the dot before that? Is because of what we call selector. Since we have assigned an attribute, we're assigning to the attribute. So the way it is done is you put a period before the attribute. So I'm going to press shift curly braces, and then inside it, let's say I'm going to apply red to this one. So I'm going to come here to the document, and you notice the first one, it changes to my YouTube channel, is now red. So now, while still there, I've already showed you what margin is. I'm going to show you let's say width. So I'm going to press enter. It's still the same way as the way we do the margin. So I'm still going to go for, let me go for 300 pixels this time. Enter. Let's see if anything changes. Now the width changed because I think it reduced it. Okay, for me to understand what went on here, I'm going to have to apply border. Now I'm going to show you in a minute what the border does. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to hit on enter, and then border, enter, and I'm going to make it let's say 2 pixels. Hit on enter. Oh yeah, there's something else. It said inside of the border we have 3 main values of border. It said we have the thickness of the border, we have the style, and we have the color. That is the size of the border, the style, and the color. And it said inside of just the border, we can apply each of these in one line of code instead of breaking it into multiple lines, and the code will still run. So I'm just going to hit tab instead. Notice the spaces in between. That is how you're meant to write it, but yeah, I'm going to just hit tab, and now I'm going to come back to the document, and you see now this border will help guide us to know if this particular thing is actually being affected by the weight. So let's go back to the VS Code. Inside of VS Code, I'm going to let's change this 3 to 4. and then come to the document, and yes, it does expand. Yes, it carried the channel back up here. I think the reason why it came here is because at first it didn't have any assigned width. So when we increased it, it just adjusted itself and brought the channel here. So now that we have assigned it to a width and we increased it a little, it now extended more. So this is basically it. What again? Then we have, I mentioned margin, I mentioned border, I mentioned width. So yes, padding. Yes, padding. Now padding is the spaces inside. The width increased the size of the width. It increased the size of this rectangle. He said something. He said every line of code that we write inside of VS Code in the HTML, they all appear as a box. They all appear as a box, or in most cases a rectangle. So it's usually in this 4 corners format. So the width just increased it. So now this particular padding, the padding is going to help us increase the space inside, so that it's not just be one line. So let me give this 300 pixels as well. Hit on enter. I just like hitting enter. It's not necessary to do it. VS Code automatically saves. So now you notice, see what it did? It gave it more space on the inside. It gave it more space on the inside. So now let me dial it down a little bit. Let me make it 30 pixels. I'm going to come here and see. That's basically what it does. Yes, the height is one more thing. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to height, enter, and the same thing. Let's make it 30 pixels. Hit on enter, and let's check it out inside of the file. Okay, the height, I don't know if it increased. Maybe I need to make it more obvious. I think I'll make it 300 pixels this time. Come here, and yes, it increased the height. So now I'm going to show you something else that we learned today. So we're going back to the HTML file, and let me go underneath and then type button. I'm going to create a button, and let's call this touch. So now touch has been created. I'm going to assign it a class attribute. Hit on enter, and I'm going to call it button, BTN, button, and yeah, that's it. So now, you know, whenever you open a website, when you click on a button, it just becomes active. Like when I select here now, for example, you notice how this stop, it comes back. So let me show you. I go out, I come in, go out, come in. It just ensures that, you know, it is active, not just a static function that when you click, it highlights all of those things. So now I'll show you how to do that right now. So now that I've created this button and put a class attribute of BTN, I'm going to go straight into CSS, hit on enter. I'm going to press period button, then BTN space shift curly braces, and in the middle I'm going to press enter. And now let's give this button a color. Okay, the background color green, color of the text white, padding, it gets the padding, a border. I'll talk about this border radius in a minute, but for now let me just press tab and then tab again. Now what this border radius does is just basically like it round the edges of an element. So you will see it in a minute. Let me go straight into the file and see it right here. The edges are round, unlike this one that is squared. This one is round edges. I can increase it until when it becomes like a perfect circle if I needed it to be. So now I'll just go straight here again. Now that I've given it the color, I'm going to come back under again, and I'm going to press dot btn colon hover. Hover just means like just putting your cursor over something. That's what hover is. So I hit enter space shift curly braces, and I'm going to come here and hit enter, and I'll change the background color to, let me change the background color to dark orange. Now let me show you the cool thing that happens. Look at the way it looks like right now. No, you know what, let me increase the size so it becomes more bold. That is padding, right? Padding. I'm going to hit on padding. I'm going to make it 90 pixels. Get to hit on enter. Perfect. So now I'm going to show you what this BTN hover does. Sorry, it's not here I'm meant to add the padding. It's meant to be inside the dot pdn. Is meant to be in here. So I'm going to come here. The padding is already added, but I'm going to cancel all this right here. and make it 100 pixels. Yes, let's make it 100. So now that I've increased the padding, let's come back here. Let me show you guys exactly what this does. Now look at the button. Now is green, but when I do this, it becomes orange. Green, orange, green, orange. Now I'm going to show you something else. You know, sometimes when you hover on something on the website, it changes to one color. When you click on it, it changes to a different color. Now I'm going to come back to the VS Code, and I'm going to, first of all, let me see if I can increase the text size of that touch so it becomes more visible. No, it's font size. No. Okay, let me change everything altogether. Give me the font family and the font. So this font works similar with border, how you can add the size of the border, the style, and the color. So it works the same. Well, yeah, apparently. So it's giving the size of the font and the font family, which is basically the style too. So now that I've increased that, let's come down over here. Still on that button class attributes, I'll hit enter, press .btn semicolon active. I'm going to press on enter, space, shift, curly braces, and I'm going to come here to enter background color. Should be background color, sorry, semicolon yellow. Yes, let's give it yellow. So now it has changed. I added something here. Okay, sorry, there's a syntax rule. When you're coding, you have to be careful with the syntax you're using so nothing falls out of line. So now I'm going to come back to the document. Now the size increased. When you hover, it's orange. When you click, it becomes yellow. I'm clicking and holding right now. That's why it's yellow. If I release, it goes back to orange because I'm still hovering, and if I leave, it comes back to green. So this is one way to make your website look nice and, you know, cool and all. That's it for now for the button element. I'm going to come back with a part 2 of this video, so make sure to like and subscribe.